The silver lining here is that although we would never ever use this hunk of aluminum on any of our own engines, it does make a really fancy phone holder for our desks. What's up everybody, it's Kerry. And look, we're all about stretching our project car budget around here, but there are smart ways to do it and some not so smart ways. Particularly when considering the risks involved in buying non-name brand parts. And that's what brings us here today. It's no secret that you may find suspiciously low prices on auto parts by visiting certain popular online shopping and auction websites. But here's the thing, a lot of times that good-looking part and incredibly low price comes with a serious catch. To show you what we're getting at, we bought a carburetor off one of the popular online marketplaces and compared it with its name brand equivalent pulled right off of our Summit Racing shelf. Here's our cheap carburetor. It's a 600 CFM 4-barrel that the online ad referred to as a 1406, which if you're playing along at home means it's an obvious clone of the ever popular Edelbrock 1406 carb. Once it was ready, we bolted on an authentic Edelbrock 1406, right out of the box with no adjustments. The engine fired right up with the Edelbrock carb, settled into a nice idle and it revved well. We were easily able to get a full dyno run with the Edelbrock carb right off the shelf. And although it ran a tad richer than the prototype carb we used for the initial tuning, it was nothing that couldn't be perfected with some very basic adjustments and a simple rejet. Fully satisfied with the quality and performance of the Edelbrock 1406, we swapped on the 1406 clone. Initially, we had to tap the fuel inlet hole to 5/8 thread due to the inability to put the fitting in for the dyno fuel line. After getting the fuel line hooked up and the throttle linkage adjusted, we proceeded to set the floats per the instructions that came with the carb. Once all the checks were completed and adjusted, we fired up the engine. From the get-go, we could tell it was running very lean, so we adjusted the mixture screws to get the engine to idle. After double-checking the float levels while the engine was running, we proceeded to make a full dyno pull. After about 4,200 RPM, the engine went dead lean and started to misfire. We pulled the carb off and removed the lid for inspection, where we discovered that the floats were not working properly. A deeper investigation revealed that the tabs on the float were bent too aggressively, which limited fuel volume. After bending the tabs back to free up the floats, we reinstalled the carb for another attempt at a full dyno pull. Although we were able to make a complete pull at full throttle this time, the carb never really worked properly at part throttle. It goes completely lean and bucks and misses. Even after the float tabs are corrected, the cheap carb still made 14 horsepower less than the Edelbrock 1406. And even when we took it apart for another inspection, we did not find any reason for the problems, other than the wrong metering rods or jet sizes or the carb's initial calibration. So despite being billed as a 1406 carb, it didn't have anywhere near the performance of the genuine Edelbrock unit. Now let's be clear, the Trick Flow folks are experts at carburetor tuning, and sure, they could have dug deeper and possibly got this cheap clone carburetor to work right. But we were cautious not to go beyond what the average home gearhead would do before getting frustrated, giving up, and throwing it in the back of the garage. So would you trust this cheap carburetor on your classic car or hot rod? Yeah, neither would we. It goes to show you that while saving money is important, time is also important. Do you want to spend hours of your busy day trying to get this cheap carb to run right? Or spend a little more on a high quality and proven Edelbrock carburetor that works right out of the box? If you decide on the cheap carb, you may save some money up front, but what are you actually saving in the long run? Not to mention the potential issues that could arise with a cheaper purchase. In other words, it's always best to keep in mind what's the best bang for your buck, even if it's slightly more expensive. While saving money is always important, there are better ways to do it than buying questionable parts from no-name manufacturers. Just like there are better ways to learn about important videos like these. To make sure you don't miss out, be sure to like and subscribe so you can get all the updates on the new videos we release. The silver lining here is that although we would never ever use this hunk of aluminum on any of our own engines, it does make a really fancy phone holder for our desks. Maybe.